Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a year since my first video, and I had to sort of like get that first video out there. I needed to do it then. Since then, I had to sit and think about how I want to move on this channel and the contents of what I want to upload to this channel. So majority of the content will be Bible based. And then I'll go outside the Bible at times and do the odd archaeology stuff or ancestry or anything interesting that I find that I'd like to just share out there. So, with that being said, I also want to say that my videos will be very short. I don't like long videos. I don't like them at all. Um, so, uh, the main thing about the Bible scriptures that I will speak about is that I am presenting what and how I understand when I read any biblical scriptures or any Bible stories. I always have to ask a whole bunch of questions to myself and just try and uh, pull the layers out of it, peel it to get everything I can out of the scriptures and the passages, because sometimes in one passage or a few passages there's a whole story inside of it and nobody talks about it. Now there's certain there I noticed reading the Bible, the whole Bible, I've gone through it a few times. I do come across people in the Bible that are just not mentioned in church services. They don't even touch on them. They don't mention them. Some of these people are interesting people, but they're not talked about. So my goal is to bring these people out of the Bible and just speak about them and just put some memory about them. Just put them out there because they're important and interesting people in the Bible. So, with that being said, I am now going to turn to my first person that I want to speak about. There are a few of them from the Old Testament, and I think I might touch on a few in the New Testament, but most of them will be coming from the Old Testament because there's so much history there. So the first one here is taken from my in block one introduction is taken from Jeremiah 38 verses 6 to 13. The person is Ebed-melech, and he was one of the king's person. And this is one of the king of Judah. Okay. So, starting with verse 6, then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Hamlech, that was in the court of the prison, and they let down Jeremiah with cords. And in the dungeons there was no water, but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire. Verse 7. Now when Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin. Verse 8. Ebed-melech went forth out of the king's house and spoke to the king, saying, verse 9, my lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon. And he said, he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is. For there is no more bread in the city. 10. Then the king commanded Ebed-melech the Ethiopian, saying, take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon, before he die. Verse 11. So Ebed-melech took the men with him and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took trench old cast cloths and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Ebed-melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast cloths and rotten rags under thine armhole, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. Verse 13. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him up out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. Block 2. Here are some questions I have from the above verses. Question 1. Have you ever heard these verses read in any church service? Question 2. If the answer is no, then the following question is, why not? Question 3. What are some thoughts that come to mind after reading the above verses? I'll now go to block 3 and share my thoughts. My first thought after reading the above passage and in answering those questions, interesting that an Ethiopian is a member of the king's people, sort of like he's part of the inner circle with the king. He was given 30 men to go with him to rescue Jeremiah. 3. The king would have had great respect for Ebed-melech and cared for Jeremiah, that he would listen to Ebed-melech and gave his command to get Jeremiah out of the pit. The king's action tells me that the king may have had a close relationship with Ebed-melech. Could it be that Ebed-melech may have been the king's head eunuch? That's a very high in kingdoms, in ancient kingdoms, to be the head eunuch, you are like almost like the king's right hand person. That's a very high position. That would explain Ebed-melech's close access to the king. Ebed-melech spoke the same language as the Israelites of those days. This Ethiopian man saved Jeremiah, and had he not done so, there would be no book of Jeremiah. In block 4, my conclusion. There are some Ethiopians that were part of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Asher, from the time the kingdoms of Israel and Judah separated. The Ethiopians interacted and married into these tribes. I often wonder why so many people I encounter over the years get surprised when they hear that there are Ethiopians who are of Israelite ancestry when Ethiopians are mentioned in the Bible many times over, interacting closely with the Israelites. I see this man, Ebed-melech, as another hero of the Bible. If you did not know of this Ethiopian eunuch before, by watching this video, now you do. I thank you for watching.